Saturday morning, it's time to talk technology, and our tech expert, Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, with us right now. Luis, welcome back.
Thank you, Mark. How are you?
Doing really well. You know, it's the Festa weekend in Monterey, so we're going to be heading down to the Festa Italia after this, and it's today and tomorrow down in the Custom House Plaza.
Well, I will have to see if Ronnie wants to head down there on Saturday. Sunday, we're flying to Colorado Springs for a conference for 3 days, so I'll be out of town. But Saturday, I got no plans, so maybe that's a good time to go over there.
You got to get one of those Italian sausage sandwiches with the bell pepper and onion, you know.
And it's great for people watching if you've never been there.
Yes, it is. And the arancini, which is the fried rice ball. Wow, that is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Got the cheeses and the sausage and the beef inside of it and the marinara. Oh, my God. They make them the size of baseballs. You know? So it's a meal in itself. So
you definitely want to share it with somebody, I have to say.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, we've got an interesting topic to jump into today, and it's about GPS. And I didn't realize that GPS has been around for over 30 years now, and that the satellites that ring the Earth at the equator are getting old. I guess they could drop out of orbit at any moment.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. We've become so accustomed to having GPS-enabled everything, right? I don't think, when was the last time you looked at a map or walked around with one of those, what do you call them, travel maps that you get when you're vacationing? Remember those days?
Sure.
Now we just use our phones, and it takes us step by step to where we want to go.
So I guess GPS,
that's GPS,
Yeah, like one of the things I have on my Census laptop, let's say you're looking for a particular address and you can map it. So you press the map option and it brings up the geographical area that you're in, and there are two dots on the map, and one is the location you need to be and the other one is your vehicle. And you can watch it as you drive. You will see, if you're going in the right direction, you'll see your dot getting closer and closer and closer to the other dot, and then when the two dots merge, that means you are at the location. And I guess that's all done by GPS.
Yeah, and remember when GPS first came out, it was only for the military. It was a Department of Defense DARPA-funded experiment that then turned into a consumer product, like a lot of those DARPA-funded projects. Like, you know, they funded what eventually became the internet, right? So now, though, like you pointed out, these satellites have been up there for a long time. The oldest one is darn near 30 years old, and the Department of Defense, along with a lot of other government agencies, are concerned that, one, we need to either refresh the fleet, if you will, or come up with better technology, because the other issue that they're concerned about is what's being demonstrated in the war in Ukraine every day, where the Russians have been, moderately successful in jamming GPS signals and causing missiles that are targeting using GPS to go off course because their GPS connection is broken. And that's in large part a lot of the arsenal that the United States uses. So they're concerned that if they don't develop a way to either protect the GPS fleet and counteract that jamming, that all of these GPS-powered devices are going to fail in war with a major player like a Russia or China or somebody else. So they're funding a lot of alternatives, including something that's really fascinating to me called a quantum device that doesn't use GPS signals. It uses quantum sensors. And, we've talked about quantum computing that would bring navigation, timing, and positioning data to electric devices of every kind, just using super incredibly complex technology that I truly don't understand, but it won't require satellites. And that's one of the reasons that they're getting money from not just the Department of Defense, but from private entities that think that this might be the next big thing.
So how's it going to be deployed if not via satellite?
So according to the company Mesa Quantum, they have these miniaturized quantum sensors which can measure and detect changes in the environment around a device to signal where it is in the world, regardless of where it is. And they can do it without needing any third-party input, like a satellite signal. And it's, think of it, the equivalent would be, think of it as like AirTags, right? Where it uses all of the ambient information to know where it is in a place. And so you can embed it in devices, you can carry it on phones, you can do all sorts of stuff, assuming that the technology gets mature enough to go from theoretical and experimental to actual use, which is probably several years away. But it's one of the many options that the federal government is looking to replace GPS. And they're also looking at creating a new fleet of GPS satellites that are more nimble, have better technology, and are much like the Starlink network, so that there's so many of them up there that it's almost impossible to knock them down. Right now, there's probably 24 GPS satellites, and the bad guys, the Russians and the Chinese, know exactly where they're all at.
Well, what would stop them from knowing where all of the Starlink ones are?
Well, the problem is that there's so many of them. I mean, Starlink has over 4,800 satellites right now, and these are very small. We're talking about the size of big bouncing ball, in many cases, maybe 5 5 or 6 feet across, and they're designed to be, expendable. So they're up there in space, they do their job, and then over time they degrade into the atmosphere and burn up, and then they're replaced by other ones because they're cheap. So there's companies that are trying to work on a GPS satellite replacement system that uses a similar technology. And Elon Musk himself has talked about potentially having Starlink satellites be able to do that in the future. So yet another revenue stream for our friend from SpaceX.
Right. So let me ask you this. If the DoD goes ahead with replacing the GPS satellites they have with this new technology, what about the GPS that we use for mapping and so forth? That's different, correct? Or do we have to worry about those falling out of orbit and we're all left with nothing?
Yeah, so they're exact same satellites. Although the military has a few GPS satellites that are exclusively for their use, and they're using encryption and all sorts of other stuff and better location. So rather than being able to pinpoint something that's maybe 5 feet across, it's like within inches. And so they have that kind of technology. What would happen is if the military developed this, same thing that would happen with GPS, the consumers would follow along eventually. It may not be right away, but this would, if they get the ability and the potential to, manufacture these things in bulk and in scale, then we could use them just as easily as the military could.
All right, that's Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today online. It's alvareztg.com, at AlvarezTG. That's the X handle. And Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-TEAM. That's 866-784-8326.
And looking ahead to Monday the 9th, we're going to be talking about a new AI tool?
Yeah, so if you're somebody that forgets a lot of your meetings and you want to record everything you do and get it transcribed and sent to you in notes, listen in on Monday and we'll tell you what a new AI-powered note pen can do for you.
All right, and that starts at 8:30 right here on Power Talk Radio. Luis, thanks so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you out and about this weekend.
All right, my friend, take care.